Hey, what's up? It's Chris Martin, real estate agent, investor, coach, and I'm about to talk to an agent who has been in the business for a while, and it's his first time going out door knocking. So he just wanted to have a conversation and had some questions and is ready to go out there and do that thing. So we're gonna have a discussion about door knocking, and if you're about to go out door knocking, then this is the perfect video to watch. Let's go.
I've never done the door knocking, so part of me is really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to have those conversations with people, and it's like being at a trade show where they walk by your booth and things, but we're just going to them now and just knocking on the door. Hey, I don't know if you need this or not, but here's what I have. If the homeowner answers the door and they say, yes, I'm very interested in possibly selling my property, and why don't you come back Friday at 11 o'clock with your acquisition guy?
Yep.
So my thought is, you know, because you're only talking to them for a short time, you've qualified it to that extent, but I'm just wondering if people run into the scenario that somebody's just looking to see how much they could sell their house for, but they're not really interested in selling.
Just to get an idea.
Right.
Yeah, there's some people out there that just want to find out the price of their home, what it's worth, just for curiosity purposes. Most of the time, there's a reason why they're curious, right? And I think that's what we have to try to get through. We have to try to peel those layers and try to find out why they're curious about the price of their property. Are they thinking about selling next year? Are they thinking about selling in the spring? Like, what are they teeing something up? They game planning something. And I think out of the gate, a lot of people don't tell us this, and that's why it's important to peel those layers back and find out why they're looking for a price for their home.
And even a follow-up question could be, you know, have you thought about putting your house on the market recently, maybe in the past year?
Exactly.
And if so, why didn't you, or did you, and what happened? And even to have a conversation with someone, now you put them in a slow drip campaign even. You know, if they're not ready, at least you have a connection, you have some rapport.
Yeah.
You know, just keep going for the no.
It just speaks more on the money is in the follow-up. We hear this a lot in the real estate business. We hear a lot in the sales business, and it's just how it is. The money's in the follow-up. What are the chances that you speak to someone on day one and they're interested in your services or your product or whatever? It doesn't usually happen that way. It's more, you talk to someone, you establish a decent relationship or some rapport building, and you follow up with them. The money's in the nurturing, the money's in the follow-up, which is why that should be celebrated. Like, if you don't get a sale or a transaction right from day one, that's okay. That's the home run. That doesn't have to happen. It can be a nurture and a contact, and that can be celebrated. The thing I love with door knocking and technology and all these different ways to get leads, they'll never be able to meet this. They'll never be able to duplicate this. Is that with door knocking, you already met the person face to face, right? You already had that exchange, that encounter, and that's important, because if you're competing against someone else who hasn't had that conversation, if you're cold calling them or if you've emailed or texted them, you actually spoke to them face to face. You're already going to have an advantage over everyone else who's trying to reach out to that person with the same services or products. You have the ability to be a step ahead of those people because you met that person face to face, which door knocking does, and I love that. I think it's important that when you talk to someone who's interested in selling their home, that you get in there as quickly as you can, because with my luck, no one has been talking to this person for the last 5 years, right? No one's been reaching out to this person, but as soon as I have a conversation about selling their house and they show some interest, now everyone's coming out of the woodwork, right? You got people coming in from all different directions trying to solicit this person to sell their house when they haven't been doing that for years, and it's just because I entered the scene. So you want to be able to get in as soon as possible and lock that up and secure that deal. Timing is everything, right? With door knocking and just with any type of reach out to someone. So when you reach out to someone, just because maybe they got reached out to a couple of months ago and that time wasn't right, and now you're talking to them and the weather's starting to change or their mood is different and you just hit them at the right time.
Bad timing.
Bad
timing, and I'm standing there.
Here comes Al.
Yeah.
To the rescue.
That's right. That's right. Good mood. You present yourself well, and who knows? I think once that snowball starts, though, I think it becomes a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you know, until they call the police, like just keep going, you know, because you're not doing anything crazy.
Yeah.
It's very harmless, and you're just looking for information. I'm looking for the needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
And,
how long are you going to be out for?
I don't know. We haven't determined. I'm thinking at least like 3 hours.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I've done some work down in Medford, so I know some pockets I want to hit, but I want to do some pre-work before that, like going through MLS, and I don't know if it's more productive to have a list and just weed out everybody that has bought a property in the last couple years, and that way I have a printout right away. So it's 123 Main Street, and then you skip the next 3 homes because you know those don't qualify.
For sure. I mean, I think the more important thing when you're looking at what neighborhood to knock is looking at the neighborhood itself. Like, you want to make sure it's a knockable neighborhood. I like picking streets that are flat. I'm not trying to hike up a huge mountain to knock on this street. I want flat streets. I also want streets that are somewhat dense. I like the streets where, you know, you have houses on both sides of the street. They're, you know, parallel to each other. You can go up one side, come down the other, and you can hit a couple streets and hit 50 doors rather than, you know, the houses too far apart. And for you to hit 50 doors, it's going to take you who knows how long, and you have to be out there for volume. You have to be out there for numbers. You can't just go out door knocking and be like, oh, I knocked 5 doors. This is great. You want to get out there and you want to knock a good amount of doors. I mean, one thing that I do is I pull up MLS, I pull up the property records, and I pull up the street, and that's it. And then you're able to see numerically the street and the address and the last sales date. So if a property was just purchased last month or last year, I may not even knock that property because, you know, what's the likelihood that that person's going to be interested in selling? They just bought last year. So you can kind of save some time and know what you're getting into. But I'm doing this quickly. I'm not spending too much time to look at this stuff. I'm looking at it from one house to the other, and if I don't look at it, I'm just knocking on the house. Again, just to kind of keep that volume thing in mind because I want to get numbers. I think 50 doors is the magic number anytime that I go out door knocking. And I think 50 doors, unless the last door you knock on is a bad door, because you don't want to end on a bad door, right? At 50th door, the person's like, F off! You know, it's like, how could you end on that?
Stay right there, I'm gonna get my dogs on you.
Yeah, right? It's like, you almost need to continue knocking to get one more person who's pleasant to you.
Right.
You want to be able to end on a good door, even if it's a decent conversation. It doesn't have to be an appointment or a nurture, but just a decent conversation, you can end on that, just to kind of have yourself feeling good at the end of your door knocking excursion. You don't want to end on a bad note. So just keep that in mind. 50 doors, more or less, and that should be able to give you some decent numbers. If you knock 50 doors, for me, you should be averaging somewhere around 10 answers, more or less. And from there, maybe 1 or 2 nurtures from those 10 people who answer the door. Maybe not immediate sales, but again, the money's in the follow-up. So you should be able to at least have some decent follow-up, right? I'm so glad you're door knocking because I don't think enough agents door knock today. And I'm glad that you're actually taking yourself outside of your normal comfort zone, because you do get business. You get business through other means in real estate. So for you to kind of add this element, I definitely applaud you for that. And I think the goal should be to go out there and get conversations and get phone numbers. Yes, you want appointments, but that's not, you know, that's not always going to happen. So if you go out there and don't get any appointments, but you get a couple of phone numbers, and I usually have it to where, you know, I have my card or something, and I'm like, oh, here's my phone number. I want to be a resource for you. Here's my cell. Feel free to reach out anytime. And what's the best number for you? That way I'm giving and then I'm asking. So definitely get some phone numbers and be proud of that. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. That would do me a favor on my end. It would encourage me to continue to kind of do this and throw some content out there that you guys can hopefully take and apply and implement to your business. And if you haven't, hit the notification bell, comment on some of these videos, especially if you're watching them. Let me know you're watching, let me know what's up, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace. Even if they turn the lights out, the show is going on.